Okay, so let's do a quick recap of what we learned last night. Then we'll move on to um, some new material. Okay, so we read through our Mishnah last night. This is going to be our Mishnah for a while. So let's make sure that we're very familiar with what the Mishnah says. We also saw the commentaries of Rashi as well as the Rashbam, and we even got to see Rabbeinu Yehiel, who was another one of the Balei HaTosfot, who argued with the Rashbam. So let's just do a quick recap. Okay, so we said Erev Pesachim samuch lemincha, on Erev Pesach, close to the time of mincha. Okay, and we defined samuch as a half hour, chatzi sha'ah, and lemincha is referring to mincha ketana, as opposed to mincha gedolah. Mincha ketana is at 9.5 hours. Mincha gedolah is from 6.5 halachic hours. So Erev Pesachim, on Erev Pesach samuch lemincha, a half hour before mincha ketana, so at 9 hours from sunrise. Lo yochal adam ad shetechshach, a person's not permitted to eat until it gets dark. Afilu ani shebiyisrael lo yochal ad sheyasev, even a poor person is not allowed to eat unless he's leaning. And we said the reason why we lean is because of zecher lacherut, because we're kederech b'nei chorin, it has to be the way free people would eat to commemorate our freedom from Egypt. So therefore, since in their time the way free people would eat was leaning, that is what the halacha mandates us to do as well. And we said, V'lo yivchetu lo me'arba kosot shel yayin. We said this was a commandment to the gaba'eh tzedakah, to the people that are responsible for distributing the tzedakah. We said, the Mishnah tells them, do not subtract from the 4 cups of wine when you're distributing money to the poor person. Make sure to give him enough money for the 4 cups. Ve'afilu mina tamchui. We said even from the charity plate. So we said there's 2 ways to interpret what the words ve'afilu mina tamchui mean. We said one is that it's a commandment to the ani himself, that the ani, we're telling you, yes, the gaba'eh tzedakah, the people in charge of the charity, they have to make sure to give you 4 cups, but let's say they don't. So comes the Mishnah and says, ve'afilu mina tamchui. Even if you're the type of person that takes from the tamchui, even if you have to go into more debt, even if you have to sell the shirt off your back, the Rashbam used that expression, that's what you have to do. So the Rashbam interprets these words, Va'afilu mina tamchui, as a commandment to the poor person himself. However, we saw Rabbeinu Yehiel. Rabbeinu Yehiel said, no way. He said this whole sentence is all a commandment to the Gabbai Tzedakah, to the person that's in charge of Tzedakah. First it said, don't subtract from the 4 cups of wine, make sure to give him. Ve'afilu mina tamchui means even if he's a person that normally would not be eligible for the tamchui. And we said a person is only eligible for the tamchui, for the charity plate, if he doesn't have enough money for his next 2 meals. So let's say this guy had enough money for his next 2 meals, but not enough for the 4 cups. So you might have thought, he has enough money for the 2 meals, so he doesn't get tamchui funds. Comes the Mishnah and says, no, afilu mina tamchui. He could even take from the tamchui to support his need for the 4 cups of wine. That is the machloket between the Rashbam and Rabbeinu Yechiel, and that covers what we did last night. So any questions or comments on our Mishnah so far? No, we're good? Okay. So let's take a look at the Tosafot. Actually, just so it's a little easier to see on the screen, I'm going to change the font to regular Hebrew. That's okay with everyone. Okay. So if you see over here on the right side of the screen is the commentary of the Tosafot, and let's take a look at that. I'm just going to turn on my laser. Okay. So the first thing that the Tosafot ask a question on is the first word of our Mishnah. Right? Say the Tosafot. Right? Mishnah Erev Pesachim. Our girsa. Girsa means a version of the text. So our girsa, if you look at our Mishnah, it says Erev Pesachim. However, if you look here at the top of the perek, right, it says Arvei Pesachim. So there was some variation in the texts that exist. Some books say Arvei Pesachim. Some of them say Erev Pesachim. The question is which is correct. So let's see what the Tosafot say. They say I garsinan arve. If we have the version of the text that says arve in plural, niha, it makes sense. Why? Because the next word is psachim. So it should be arve in plural, psachim in plural. Both words should be in plural, and that would mean the Erev Pesach, that exist from year to year, ... So Tosafot say, if it says arve, that works well, because the first word and the second word would both be plural. We'd say arve psachim, the Erevs of Pesach, the eves of the Pesachs, meaning the eve of Pesach from year to year. That makes sense. Nicha. Nicha means makes sense. However, says the Tosafot, the Igar Sinan Erev, let's say it says Erev in singular, right, which is the version of the text that we have, Erev Pesachim in singular. So now we have a question. Erev, the eve, is in singular, but Pesachim is in plural. So what's going on? Hachi ka'amar. This is what we will say. Erev sheshohatin bo Pesachim. It's the night in singular that we slaughter many korbanot Pesach. We slaughter many Pesachim, meaning it's not talking about the holiday of Pesach, it's talking about the korban Pesach. Right? In the time of the Bet HaMikdash, every Jewish household had to bring a korban Pesach. So many thousands of korbanot Pesach were brought. So that's what it means, Erev Pesachim. Erev in singular, the night of the Pesachim in plural. What's the plural? The korban Pesach, because many korbanot Pesach were brought. That's their first explanation for how we could explain why the word Erev would be in singular, but the word Pesachim would be in plural. Second answer, Iname. Erev Pesach, Rishon, Visheni. So again, Erev is singular, the eve. Pesachim is plural. Why? Because there's more than one Pesach on the calendar. There's Pesach Rishon, right, on Yudalid, the Korban Pesach on Yudalid Nisan, and then the holiday on Tevav Nisan. And there's Pesach Sheni, which is on Yudalid Iyar. So there's two Pesachim in the year. So again, how do we explain why it says Erev Pesachim, Erev in singular, Pesachim in plural? It's Erev, the night, the eve of Pesachim in plural. Why? Because there's multiple Pesachim. Either it's multiple Korbanot Pesach, or it's multiple holidays of Pesach. Now, just a rule for your advanced knowledge. My Rabbi Aluf, he says that inameh, when you see these words, Aleph Nun, which stands for inameh. Inameh means, if also. Okay? So what does that mean? Well, inameh means when the Tosafot are going to introduce a second answer, or sometimes even a third answer. And inameh always means that the answer that they're introducing is better than the one that they previously said. Okay, so I'll repeat that. Inameh is a word that's going to introduce an additional answer. And specifically, Rabbi Aluf teaches that it's going to be a better answer. Now, can anybody tell me what's better about the second answer than the first answer? Again, the first answer was Erev Pesachim. Erev is in singular, Pesachim is in plural. And Pesachim means referring to the plural Korban Pesach. The second answer is the plural Pesachim refers to Pesach Rishon and Pesach Sheni. So based on the Inameh rule, the second answer is supposed to be better. So can anybody identify what's better about the second answer than the first?
So the second answer is better because it's my own drasha, but so basically the korbanot, it's not guaranteed they're going to bring a second korban Pesach Sheni. It's like, say, only someone who needs who's unable for other reasons could like bring it. So it's like so you're not like really bringing it the second time. So it's just like it makes more sense because it doesn't apply to everyone.
Awesome, thank you. So, but that actually would hurt us because that sounds like you're saying the first answer is better because everybody brings the Korban Pesach on Pesach Rishon, but maybe Pesach Sheni 1 year they won't have it. But I'm telling you that the second answer is supposed to be the better one, the one that includes Pesach Sheni. So can anybody spot what's better about that answer? No? Any of the veterans? So let's take a closer look. Okay? Let's take a closer look. The Mishnah says, on Erev Pesach, Samuch lemincha, don't eat, right? If you're saying in the Mishnah, Erev Pesachim Samuch lemincha, on the eve of the Pesachs, don't eat, which answer makes more sense? Try and plug it back into our Mishnah. The eve of the Pesachs, okay, so we could explain Pesachs in plural. It's either referring to the Korbanot or it's referring to Pesach Rishon and Pesach Sheni. So plug them both in.
We're
So
allowed to eat the korbanot. Yeah, we can't. Wait, hold on. We can't eat the korbanot.
you can't eat the Korbanot. Okay, good. So the Tosfot are going to say that later, but I'm looking. I'd say a little different because you could eat something else that's not the Korban. Okay, but plug it in, see what happens. Right, the eve of the day that you bring Korban Pesachs, don't eat, or the eve of the holiday of Pesach, don't eat. Okay. Now remember, we said the reason that we're not allowed to eat is because of what? Because of matzah. Matzah is brought when we eat the matzah at night on the holiday. So the first answer is saying that we're calling it Erev Pesachim because of the Korban Pesach, but we're not talking about Korban Pesach here. This is something that's independent of the Korban Pesach. This is something that is connected to the holiday. The second answer makes this Mishnah about the holiday. And it's saying that on the eve of Pesach Rishon and on the eve of Pesach Sheni, both times you'll be eating matzah, and therefore make sure not to eat on min hamincha, samuch lemincha, and onwards. Okay, so it just in terms of what the theme of the Mishnah is talking about the holiday, not the korban. So that's why the second answer, which says that it's talking about the holiday of Pesach, is better than the first answer, which says it's talking about the Korban Pesach. Okay, that's just an extra nugget on that Tosafot based on the Inameh rule. Again, the Inameh rule is that the answers get better as you go. Okay, so that's the first Tosafot. Again, addressing the fact that we have two different versions of our Mishnah. We have one that says Arve Pesachim and one that says Erev Pesachim. Okay, that's the first Tosafot. Moving on to the second Tosafot. Lo yochal adam. A person is not allowed to eat. Okay, remember we said from 9 hours and onwards, a person is not allowed to eat. So the Tosafot say, Lo yochal adam, perush afilu hitpalel. Even if he already prayed, meaning he already prayed mincha. Why is that significant? Because the Tosfot are going to say there's something that applies all year round, which is that if you have not yet prayed mincha, you're not allowed to eat a meal. Okay, in general, when we have mitzvot that are time sensitive, the halacha mandates don't start eating a meal before you perform the mitzvah, otherwise you might miss out on the mitzvah. So that applies on a daily basis to mincha. You're not allowed to eat a meal until mincha. And there are actually some people that are strict and do this even from mincha gdolah. The Gemara, when it discusses this halacha, it's not so clear about is it talking about before mincha gdolah or mincha ketana. So some people have the custom already to stop eating meals. They won't wash on bread until they pray mincha, even from mincha gdolah and onwards, because the Gemara, when it discusses this halacha, it's a machloket. Was it talking about mincha gdolah or mincha ketana? But that's just a sidebar. The Tosfot again are saying this is an independent prohibition of eating on Erev Pesach, nothing to do with the prohibition to eat before mincha. So again, they say perush afilu hitpalel. Even if you already pray mincha, you're still not allowed to eat on Erev Pesach. Why? Umishum matzah, because of the obligation to eat matzah. Okay, so don't think that the reason that you're not allowed to eat here is because you didn't pray mincha yet. Even if you pray mincha, it doesn't get you off the hook. You're still not going to be allowed to eat because of matzah.
Is there any reference to Friday afternoon, 52 weeks a year, about eating too much before the meal of Friday night? Is there any reference anywhere that we should restrict ourselves from eating too much, exactly like Pesach?
Yeah, the Gemara actually on the next page is going to ask that question. So Bezrat Hashem, actually even on this page, I'm sorry, on the already on the bottom of this page, we'll see it Bezrat Hashem. Yes, that question is
Okay.
going to be addressed.
Okay, thank you.
So again, so the Tosafot say, even if you pray mincha already, because of matzah, because of the obligation to eat matzah, kedamrinan b'gemara, as the Gemara says, if you didn't yet pray tefilat mincha, afilu b'sh'ad yemot hashana, even the other days of the year, asur, it's prohibited to eat. Kititnan b'perek kamad Shabbat, as is taught in the first perek of Masechet Shabbat. Okay, so that's the first part of this Tosafot. The first part of this Tosafot is saying that you cannot eat if you didn't pray mincha, and that applies year round. So this Mishnah is teaching, even if you prayed mincha, you're not going to be allowed to eat, because there's a separate issue with this day as opposed to all other days, which is that you eat matzah on this day. Right, 364 days a year, you can't eat until you pray mincha. Once you pray mincha, you're allowed to eat. But Erev Pesach is different because you have the obligation of eating matzah that night, and therefore you have to stop even if you prayed mincha already. That's the first part of the Tosafot. The second part of the Tosafot ask a fantastic question. They say V'im Tomar. V'im Tomar is going to introduce a question in the Tosafot. Vav Aleph Taf, V'im Tomar. V'im Tomar, Uma lo yochal. You might ask, what should he not eat? Okay, when the Mishnah said don't eat, what were they talking about? What type of food were they talking about? Which category of food were they talking about? Okay, now we're going to see there's a problem because it's not so clear, because there's not so many options left. Right, on Erev Pesach, what are you even allowed to eat that we tell you to stop eating it? They say, Uma lo yochal, im masa, if it's talking about masa, afilu kodem nameh asur. If it's telling you to stop eating masa from 9 hours and onwards, even earlier than that is prohibited. Kedamrinan beYerushalmi, as the Gemara in the Yerushalmi says, Kol ha'ochel masa be'erev Pesach. Anybody that eats masa on Erev Pesach, ki'ilu bo'el arusato bevet chamiv. It's like he does a sin with his arusa, with the girl he's engaged to, bevet chamiv, in his father-in-law's house. Meaning, he does a sin instead of just waiting until he's married when his wife will be permitted to him. He does a sin before the marriage. So it's the same thing. You're going to be allowed to eat the masa at night. Why are you eating it in the afternoon? Just wait till it's mutar. So we could check off our list, if we're having a list of potential things that the Mishnah was banning, okay? We have to check off our list matzah, because matzah is already asur. You're not allowed to eat it the entire day on Erev Pesach. So scratch that off the list of things that our Mishnah could talk about and tell us to stop eating it, because you weren't allowed to eat it all day. It doesn't only become asur at 9 hours. From the morning and on, it's already asur to eat matzah. Yes, JJ, you have a question?
Yeah, what about meat?
Oh, so hold on. Let's see what the Tosfot say about meat.
That would be a big problem if you couldn't eat meat like during like the rest of the days of the year, like the halacha, like you can't eat like a meal during before mincha if meat was included.
Right. Well, let's see what the Tosafot are going to say about the meat. Okay, because meat is going to be discussed by the Tosafot themselves. So hold on to that thought. Okay, so get my laser back. So say the Tosafot. So if it's matzah, it can't be talking about that. This is what say the iba minet targima. If it's talking about minet targima, in minet targima, it's actually a machloket between the Tosfot and the Rashbam. What that means, some of you might be familiar with that machloket already, but it's a machloket in the what exactly it means. But we'll just say as a category, targima means snacks. Okay, targima means snacks. Some opinions say it means fruit and light meats. Some say it means things that are mizonot, but again, snacks. So the Tosfot say the ibn minei targima. If it's telling you to stop eating minei targima, so when it said lo yochal, don't eat, what was it referring to? It was referring to minei targima. Again, we'll translate that as snacks. Ha amar b'gemara. We say later in the Gemara, aval mitabelhu b'minei targima. He's allowed to mitabel. Mitabel literally means to dip, but in the time of the Gemara, they would eat everything dipped. So mitabel is really a synonym for to eat. So aval mitabelhu b'minei targima. He is allowed to dip and eat minei targima, these snacks. So when the Mishnah here says don't eat, it can't be talking about eating snacks, because later the Gemara is going to say you're allowed to eat snacks. Okay? So again, if we add to our list of things that it can't be talking about, okay, it can't be talking about matzah, because matzah you're forbidden to eat all day. And snacks, you're permitted to eat all day. So when it said stop eating, lo yochal, what food was it talking about? I would just add, it can't be talking about chametz either, because chametz already from the morning is asur. Okay? So already snacks, matzah, you're not allowed to eat all day. Snacks, you are allowed to eat all day. And chametz, you're not allowed to eat from the morning and on. So when our Mishnah said, don't eat, what type of food, what category of food was it referring to? Any thoughts before we, I know some of you might know the answer already, but somebody that doesn't know the answer already, can you guess by process of elimination what category of food is left?
Dairy.
That would be under the category of snacks. So when we say snacks, we mean any non-bread thing, anything that you're not kovea sudan. So yeah, dairy would be permitted already. Dairy is permitted according to the Tosafot. So we need to find something that's not permitted, even into the night.
Wine.
So that's a great suggestion, because the Gemara and the Tosafot are going to talk about wine in a little bit. But if I have to answer you just briefly, I'll say the Gemara actually rules that wine is permitted. So, but we're going to see. The Tosafot are going to ask why. But they say it's permitted. So wine is crossed off this list also. There's really one thing which is not.
Shira.
What's that?
Matzah, shira.
Yabiavu. Very good. You remember all the way from September. Matzah shira. Okay, so let's see. What's matzah shira? Matzah shira is egg matzah. They say v'yesh lomad. V'yesh lomad is to introduce an answer in the Tosafot. V'yesh lomad. The aide, we're talking about b'matzah ashira. We're talking about enriched matzah, what we call nowadays egg matzah. Okay, egg matzah is matzah that's made with just eggs or just with apple juice and no water, which obviously gives it a richer flavor than regular matzah, which is made with flour and water and is very plain. Matzah ashira, literally rich matzah. Why is it called rich? Because its flavor is enriched. It's enhanced with fruit juice or with eggs. So they say, what is the Mishnah talking about when it said lo yochal? It's talking about matzah ashira, egg matzah. The lo asar b'Yerushalmi ela b'matzah hariyuya laset b'chovato. When the Yerushalmi said you're not allowed to eat matzah on Erev Pesach, it was only referring to matzah that you could use at the seder, right? And we know you can't use matzah ashira. You can't use egg matzah to fulfill your obligation at the seder. You're only allowed to use plain matzah. That's just flour and water. You're not allowed to use one that the flavor has been enhanced with eggs or with fruit juice, right? Ve'ochla kodem zmana, and you're eating it before its proper time. Ava matzah ashira sharia. Matzah ashira, you're permitted to eat it on Erev Pesach. V'chen haya noheg Rabbeinu Tam. And that was in fact the custom of Rabbeinu Tam. Rabbeinu Tam, the famous one of the Baalei Tosfot, it's actually his yard site last week. And his custom was to eat egg matzah on Erev Pesach, right?
Isn't that prohibited by Ashkenazim to eat matzah shira on at that time?
Excellent question. So Ashkenazim have a custom not to eat matzah shira on Pesach. It's actually based, it's based on already, if I'm not mistaken, a comment of Rashi. where because matzah shira becomes hametz faster than regular matzah. The added enhancements make it that it's riskier of becoming chametz. So for that reason, Ashkenazim have a custom not to eat egg matzah. But we see that Rabbeinu Tam didn't agree with that custom. Rabbeinu Tam, who was a forerunner to the Ashkenaz custom, in general, they follow him. But on this, obviously, the custom has developed differently. Even though Rabbeinu Tam himself did eat egg matzah, yes, Ashkenazim don't eat egg matzah. But so let's just review, because this last part is a little bit confusing. Okay, we're trying to find the category of food that was permitted all day, but became prohibited at samuch lemincha at 9 hours. Okay, so we said it can't be matzah because matzah was already banned the whole day. It doesn't only become banned at samuch lemincha. It can't be snacks because those stay permitted even after samuch lemincha. The Gemara is going to later say it's permitted to keep eating snacks all night. And it can't be chametz, of course, because chametz is asur from the morning and on. So we need something that it was mutad, it was permitted to eat all day, but it only became asur to eat at samuch lemincha. And Tosfot say the only category of food that's left is matzah shira. Matzah shira, it's not matzah because it's enriched, and therefore you can't use it to fulfill your obligation. It's obviously not chametz, but it's also not a snack because it's mizonot. When we're talking about snacks, we're talking about things that are she'akol, or ha'etz or hadama, fruits or vegetables or meats, or like you said, JJ, dairy. So those things you're permitted to eat. So we need to find something that's not allowed to eat samuch lemincha, and Tosfot say that is egg matzah, because egg matzah is it's mizonot, and you could become filled up on it. So since you could become filled up on it, you have to stop eating it samuch lemincha. Okay. Any questions, comments on the Tosafot? We're good? Okay, so I actually want to show you, interesting, that Rambam asks basically the same question as the Tosafot, but he gives a different answer. So this is, you got the screen changed, right? Okay, so this is the Mishnah, our Mishnah, and this is the Rambam. The Rambam, besides for his book Mishneh Torah, which is a book of halakha that we study all the time, he also wrote something called Perusha Mishnah. He also wrote a commentary on the Mishnah. So let's see what he says on our Mishnah. He says, Arve Pesachim samuch lemincha lo yochal adam. He says, samuch lemincha hu sheyishaer min hayom yoter mishte sha'ot umechza zmaniyot lefi sha'et sheikre mincha hu sheyishaer min hayom shte sha'ot umechza. He says, samuch lemincha is the time from before 2.5 hours left to the day. Okay, so again, I'm not so good at math, but even I could do this math. Right, there's 12 daylight hours in the day. Subtract 2.5, you get to 9.5, right? And that's what we call mincha ketana. So he says, because that's what we call mincha, and mincha is mincha ketana when there's 2.5 hours left in the day. We're obligated in this obligation because there's an obligation to eat matzah on the first night of Pesach. A person should starve himself. He should make himself have a big appetite so that he could eat the matzah with a great appetite. And that's why we prevent a person from eating. Now he says, the preventing of the eating that we do. It's not only talking about bread, right? Because during the rest of the year, when we say a person's not allowed to eat before they pray mincha, or before they pray arbit, or
anyway,
before
I wanted
they...
to tell you, and I got the idea because my sister Simmerland, I asked them if we could go.
Before they...
just like...
Before they pray or before they do any mitzvah, it's usually bread that we're talking about. So the Rambam says it's not only bread that we're talking about here. Because you don't even have the option of eating bread at that time. Sorry about that. Kicked me out of my own room for a second. Okay. So again, the Rambam is saying it's not talking about bread, which is usually the problem during the year, because we don't even have the option of eating bread now. Okay, you can't even eat bread at that time. You're not allowed to eat matzah on the 14th until it's the time to eat it, when it's the time to perform the mitzvah, to seder. So we see that Rambam is asking basically the same question as the Tosafot, right? He's saying, what category of food is there that we're telling you don't eat? It's not bread, because you can't eat bread anyway, and it's not matzah, because you can't eat matzah anyway. So what is it? Aval mina'uhu le'echol harbe misha'ar ha'ma'achalim. He says the prohibition is to eat a lot of other types of food. Okay, so the Rambam, what's his answer? His answer is basically Tosfot. They checked minei targima, which we could basically categorize as all non-bread foods. You know, rice and deli, chicken, cheese. You know, all things that are, you know, not chametz, but not matzah. Okay, Tosfot said, well, that's permitted. So that can't be what the Mishnah is talking about. The Rambam says, no, that is what the Mishnah is talking about. It was just telling you, don't eat it in great quantity. Don't eat it in great quantity. So that's how the Rambam answers this question. He asks the same exact question as the Tosafot. Which category of food are we banning? The Tosafot say, well, it can't be matzah, it can't be chametz, and it can't be minei targima. It can't be the non hamotzi foods, because it says that that's permitted. So they say it must be matzah ashira. That's the only thing that's left. The Rambam says no. It could just be saying don't eat a lot of the minei targima. Even though you're allowed to eat minei targima, yes, but you're not allowed to eat a lot of it. And that's what it means, lo yochal adam. Don't eat a lot in order that you'll still have an appetite for the matzah. Okay, so I thought that was interesting. You see that Rambam and the Tosafot, both of whom are Rishonim, they ask the same question, but they give a very different answer.
I have a question. If matzah is so important, that we're stopping to eat for such a long time and so on, why don't we eat matzah right away? Well, a lot like we would do on a Friday night. We wash our hands and we eat the bread right away. Why wouldn't we do the same thing on Erev Pesach, to eat the matzah right away?
It's an excellent question, and I can't say that the answer that I'll give is the best answer or the only answer. But the Gemara says that we call matzah lechem oni, the poor man's bread, but oni means poverty. But the Gemara says it doesn't only mean from the word oni, poverty, it means from the word oneh, to speak. That you have to say the magid before you eat the matzah. You have to say the magid with the matzah in front of you, and then you get to eat it. So we have an obligation to do the magid before we eat the matzah. So that's gets pushed back a little bit.
Okay.
So that was Tosfot number 2 on the page. And as we see that Rambam asked the same question, we gave a different answer, which really excited me. It's exciting to see different approaches of the Rishonim to the same questions. And these are Rishonim that never met, right? They never discussed this question. You could only imagine how interesting it would have been if the Rambam and the Tosafot were able to discuss it. Okay. Hopefully I'll have enough time for this next Tosafot. It's a little bit of a bigger one. Tosafot say, samuch lemincha lo yochal. Samuch lemincha lo yochal. Okay, close to mincha you should not eat. The Tosfot are going to ask another bombshell question from earlier in the Masechet. Tosfot say, "V'im tomar," and if you'll ask, "Beha amar bechol sha'a." It says in Perek kol sha'a. Right, again, when you're learning Tosafot or Rashi, in their time they didn't have daf numbers. Right, so you see over here it says le'el daf mem amud aleph, which means earlier in the Masechet on daf mem amud aleph. That's a recent addition. Right? Only in the last few hundred years did we add page numbers to the Gemara. In their time, they only had Perek numbers and Perek titles. So when they want to give you a reference, they want to tell you where to look up a Gemara, they'll only give you the name of the Perek. They'll give you the name of the Perek. So it says Perek Kol Sha'a. Kol Sha'a is the name of one of the Perakim earlier in Masechet Pesachim. So they say V'ha Amar Kol Sha'a. It says in Perek Kol Sha'a, B'sekot Shel Nochrim. B'sekot, doughs baked by non-Jews. Mimale adam keresomehem. A person is allowed to fill up his stomach with them. Ubilvad sheyochal kazayit masa be'acharona. As long as he eats one kazayit, 1 ounce of real matzah last. What's that saying? Sounds crazy. You just, what does it mean you could eat matzah before? Okay, so first, there's 2 types of matzah, first of all. There's what we call matzah shemura. A matzah shemura is matzah that was guarded, was watched from the time that it was harvested until the time that it was baked. And it's that type of matzah that's required for the seder. But let's say I know there's flour and water that was baked into a cracker by a goy. So it's obviously not shemura. He doesn't know anything about my halachot. But I could see, based on looking at it, that it clearly has not risen, right? It clearly was baked quickly at a high temperature within 18 minutes. It's clear that it's not chametz. Of course, nowadays nobody would trust such a thing. Okay, you'd be excommunicated for eating such a thing on Pesach nowadays. But the Gemara earlier says that that's actually permitted. There's certain signs, the same way there's signs on a kosher animal, there's signs on things that are not chametz. So if you could use the signs that say that something's not chametz to detect that something's not chametz, you're technically allowed to eat it, no problem. And that's what the Gemara calls bitsekot shel nochrim, doughs of non-Jews. Meaning it's matzah that was baked not for the sake of for matzah, but you know that it's not chametz. So technically you're allowed to eat that. The Gemara says not only are you allowed to eat that on Pesach, you're allowed to eat that at the seder before you eat matzah. Now, what's the problem? Our Mishnah says you're not allowed to eat before you have matzah, right? Lo yochal adam ad shetechshach. Don't eat until it gets dark. And we said the reason is because you have to preserve your appetite for matzah. And yet the Gemara says earlier that you're allowed to eat matzah during the seder, right? Let's say you're sitting there during the magid, you get your stomach's grumbling. You could open a box of matzah crackers and start eating them, no problem. That's what the Gemara says. So how could it be on the one hand, we're telling you in our Mishnah, you're not allowed to eat to preserve your appetite. But then there's another Gemara that says you're allowed to eat even during the Seder. That's going to be Tosafot's question. Okay? Tosafot say, Beha amar bechol sha'a. It says in Perek Kol Sha'a, B'sekot shel nochrim, those of the non-Jews, Mimale adam kiresomehem, a person could fill his stomach up with them. Ubilvad sheyochal kazayit matzah ba'achara. As long as you eat a piece of shmura matzah last to fulfill the mitzvah. Dehacha, but here in our Mishnah, asar le'echol afilu miba'od yom. It's stopping you from eating even during the daytime. It's stopping you from eating at 9 hours and onwards. So you see the contrast, it doesn't make sense. On the one hand, our Mishnah is saying from 9 hours and onwards during the day, you have to stop eating to make sure you have an appetite for matzah. But then on the other hand, we have a Gemara that tells us during the Seder, you're allowed to eat non-shmura matzah. During the Seder. We're worried you're going to spoil your appetite if you eat at 9 hours, but we're not worried you're going to spoil your appetite if you eat during the Seder. It's a crazy, crazy contrast. Anybody think they know the answer? No? So let's see. Says the Tosafot, the Yesh Lomar, we could answer, the Be'otah HaSeudah Adam Nizhar. During the same meal, a person can be careful. Ve'eno ochel kol sava. He will not eat to his full satisfaction. He's not going to stuff himself. Kedesh yochal masah le'te'avon. In order that he'll be able to eat the matzah with an appetite. Meaning, if I'm sitting at the seder and I know I'm going to do the first cup, I'm going to do the magid, I'm going to do the halel, and then I'm going to do the second cup, and then I'm going to do the matzah. How long does that take? Let's say a half hour, 35 minutes. So I know if I'm going to eat a little snack now, I'm going to have some bisekocho nochrim, I'm going to have some crackers. I know that in a half hour I'm eating matzah. So I know not to overstuff myself. I'm not going to eat to my satisfaction because I know I'm going to eat in a half hour. I'm going to eat the matzah. So since it's close in time, I remember to be careful. Avami be'od yom, when it's still daytime, right, from 9 hours. In adam nizhar, a person's not careful, right? They're not thinking at 9 hours that in 3 hours from now, or 3.5 hours from now, they're going to be eating matzah. Ve'ochel kol sova, he's going to eat to his fullest content. V'savar, and he thinks to himself, he justifies it, she'ad halayla yitaveh. He thinks by the time night comes around, I'll be hungry again. The adirabah, the opposite is going to happen. Yes, yoter. He'll even be more full. Ki yitbarech hama'achal b'mehav. The food, yitbarech, it becomes, it expands. It gets digested, but it fills him up. Right, that happens sometimes. You eat a lot quickly, and then you don't realize how much you ate, and then after the food, it becomes blessed. It becomes expanded in your stomach, and then you feel much fuller after. So that's what's going to happen to him. That's what's going to happen to him. So Tosafot's answer is that why is it forbidden to eat from 9 hours and on, but it's permitted to eat during the seder? Because during the seder, since you're going to eat matzah very soon, you remember to be careful and not eat too much. But at 9 hours, matzah is such a distant thought. It's in 4 hours from now. You're not going to limit yourself, and you're going to eat a lot, and you're going to get stuffed. And you're going to think, oh, I won't get stuffed, but you will get stuffed. So that's how Tosafot answers this question of why is it that our Mishnah forbids eating from 9 hours and onwards, but the Gemara earlier in the Masechet permitted eating crackers during the seder. The reason, again, is because since if you're eating during the seder, matzah is right around the corner, so you'll remember not to eat too much. But from samuch lemincha, from 9 hours, it's a distant thing. You're going to think it's okay, and it's really not okay. This Tosafot is actually not done. It's gonna the Tosafot move on to another question, but I'm afraid we're out of time. So we'll pause here. Mizrat Hashem will finish this Tosafot tomorrow.